Everyone, and welcome to the VHS Tapes podcast. Today we're talking about Halloween, the movie, the original one. And I'm here with, I think that's Venom.
I think so.
Good. So, I watched for the first time last night. I think it was pretty good. I love the opening music. And like anytime I don't know if the opening music is the same as like Michael's theme whenever he's like doing anything. But
Yeah.
good stuff. Some of the movie still kind of feels a little bit cheesy, like horror movie cheesy, but in a good way. So yeah, like the opening, we get some teenagers are trying to like screw around. And so immediately they're marked for death. We see a young kid's POV. He gets a kitchen knife, so I assume this was Michael, and well, you see a little bit later that yes. So I'm pretty sure he's on his mission to preserve the virginity of the teenagers upstairs. So good on him. The guy ends up leaving, so I don't know if he came in like 20 seconds or just decided to leave. But yeah, he goes upstairs, puts on a mask, and goes into Judith's room. She's in her room brushing her hair, and she like freaks out because, well, she's only wearing underwear. He just then stabs her to death for no reason. At least for now, because like it's not explained what made him snap.
Because Michael Myers is a good Christian boy.
Yeah, good point, I guess. He's like,
stay abstinent or die.
Yeah, exactly. That kind of makes sense a little bit, but I'm sure there's a different reason. Like they'll probably say in like one of the next movies, which won't be covered in this Halloween grouping, but we'll probably get to it like in season 4 at some point, because I want to see more now. And I hear like it's good for so many movies, and then it just got really awful, which just makes me more excited.
Paul Rudd is in one of them.
What? Okay.
Yeah, he's in one of them. I mean, he's like the main dude. Just gonna let you know, they go off the wall really fast. The second one, if I remember, is good, and then the third one is like an entirely different story because they wanted to make it kind of like an anthology film series, but you know, of course, that never happened, and instead they just made the same story but way more outlandish like each time. It's really weird. There's some kind of sus shit in one of them. It's like some incest cult.
Yeah. All right, so yeah, he stabs his sister to death, walks outside in time to see his parents like getting home, and they're like, what the fuck did you do? And then it just cuts. 15 years later, we see a doctor and nurse are heading to the facility where Michael's at. Right as they're about to get up to the gate, they see like there's a bunch of patients just walking around, and they're like, okay, something's not right. They pull over at the gate, the doc phones in ahead, but there's one patient that leaps onto the vehicle and takes it from the nurse. I assumed this was Michael, and shortly after I realized that, yeah, that's correct.
Yeah, according to Wikipedia, it is Michael.
Yes.
Oh, by the way, I've seen this movie like twice, but I don't know if I remember it or if I'm remembering another movie. Because the thing is this movie sets up so much like horror history. Like there's so many tropes that are born specifically from this movie that are like common in horror.
Would one of them happen to be if you're having sex in a horror movie, you die? Or is
Actually,
that
don't know.
back? I wonder if that's even older. I wonder who started that, honestly.
Probably some weird Christian dude that's like, kids, stay abstinent. And so it's just like, and the thing is like, this is a movie in the 70s, so I actually wonder, like, if there is like a sort of element to that where it's like promiscuity is shown as like something that's not a good thing, so they get punished.
Yeah. If you don't get
Which
married
is a very
first,
70s
one of these
theme.
characters will kill you.
Yeah, better watch out. Don't have sex.
Yeah. I don't know, maybe. Also, it could have just
Michael
been like,
Myers.
it could have just been something that was put in the movies, and everyone's just like, you know what, I just got to do this because why not? Some people might be
Yeah,
doing
it
it just
sells.
to have a scene, just for the sake of having it. But other people might be like, let's have a scene so they can be marked for death.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we cut over to some kids. I'm not sure if it was Lori or not. I don't think so. I think it was just some random character. We learn that the Myers house is for sale, and Michael has like gone back home. The girl just walks away after being spooked and started singing some romantic song. Michael noticed and probably marked her for death. I don't remember if this was Lori or wait, is that her name, Lori?
Laurie
Or
Strode drop off a key at the long abandoned Myers house that her father is trying to sell. Laurie notices Michael stalking her.
okay, so
I
yes,
think
it is.
I think maybe he marked her for death for copyright infringement for singing that song.
Maybe, but yeah, she is singing like it's kind of like a love thing or something like that. So I'm like, yeah, she's hinting at wanting to be with somebody, possibly before marriage. So he wasn't taking his chances. Let's see. Also, yeah, if you see me like reaching up here, this is for the audience. I have a program that puts a display in VR now, so I can. I mean, I said this before, but I'm looking at my notes in a Discord channel. I'm not schizophrenic right now.
That's debatable.
Yeah, this isn't a model that I can flip you off with. I gotta get index controllers because they have finger tracking, so you can do more than just these basic little things. You can any model you can flip somebody off. At least.
So are you saying you're getting index models just so you can flip people off?
If it's possible.
Index controllers? Really? You know what? I admire that. I hope you get index controllers so you can flip me off.
Yeah, I mean, some models have it. It's just not this one. This one, if I try to, I'm making the motion right now, but it just does the rock and roll symbol thing, or whatever the fuck it's called. Peace. Right now. Wait, is that?
Well,
whatever. Who cares?
It's the shaka. The shocker, I think, is what it's called. Or that's a different. No, never mind. That's a different goddamn thing.
Yeah.
Never mind. I apologize. I didn't. I had them mixed up. Let's see.
But yeah. So next.
Okay. Let's.
Some kids tease another kid about the boogeyman because like Halloween's coming up. And then they get spooked by Michael. Then he gets in a car and follows this kid, but it just eventually drives off. I think this is the kid that Lori will be babysitting later, which I initially thought it was her brother. But like I kept looking at Discord through the whole movie, and I missed some stuff here and there. Come back to the doctor. He finds a truck run off the road and some discarded patient clothes. He doesn't find the naked dead man, which is where he gets the jumpsuit from. Then Laurie's walking home from school with some friends, and Annie yells out, "Hey jerk, speed kills," as he passes them, and he just like stops the car, waits like fucking 20 seconds, and then just slowly drives away.
Okay, so at some point, Michael murders a dog.
Yes, that's coming up.
Yeah, he just kills a dog.
Yeah, I wish it was a horse.
And a horse? Well, horses deserve
No,
to
no, no, no.
die.
I wish it was a horse.
Oh, okay. Yeah, okay. I'm glad we're on the same page there.
Yeah.
Okay, let's see. So continue on your notes.
All right, so I think they go around the next block, and Michael's just up ahead. So he slowly drove around the block, sped up, hid the car somewhere, got out, walked around like a couple houses just to like be in their path, just to like scare them. Annie runs up to where he was, and then like she's teasing Lori like, "Oh, he wants to take you to the dance. You better come over here." And then she like runs over like, "What the fuck?" But he's already gone. When she gets home, he happens to be standing outside and disappears again. Hang on, I gotta click the screen and then scroll. All right, where? The phone happens to ring. It's she just hears chewing sounds at first, which must have been really terrifying for you.
Oh yeah. Pure horror.
She hangs up the phone. It rings again. She picks it up and like I think she like is like, who is this? And it's just Annie's just like, you hung up on me. I was just messing with you. Which I find this whole sequence funny. They walk home. She gets in her room, and Annie immediately calls her like, "Hey, let's go out." Like, why didn't you just say that before you?
Mm-hmm.
Plus, you're right across from each other. Like, why not? Well, I mean, at least they're babysitting across from each other, so maybe that makes more sense.
Yeah.
So they go off driving, and they're smoking weed. Michael follows them.
Why not?
Yeah, of course. Everybody does this in a horror movie. They approach Annie's dad because they see he's like, there's him and a bunch of other officers are pulled over at the hardware store, and he's like, "Oh yeah, probably some kids that broke in. They took some masks, rope, and knives." And then they head off. The doctor shows up to speak to the sheriff, and Michael just drives by right behind him. When they go over to the Myers house, they find a dead dog in the house, which is what you were reading. And that's not the only dog that's going to die in this movie.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah, doesn't like Michael eat the dog too or something? And Dr. Loomis is like, "Wait a second, Michael is here." I know that dog from it. I'm reading from the thing, because I'm reading from the Wikipedia, so I could be wrong, but literally it says that Dr. Loomis finds the dog corpse and it's like half eaten or something.
Well, they did. I don't remember. I replayed the scene a couple times because I kept like trying to see like what the hell they were saying. They know it's like they started to go upstairs. The sheriff noticed it and just like, "Oh, look at this." He goes over and like, it's a dead dog over here, and like, you think like a skunk did that? And I think the sheriff's like, "No skunk could have done this." Like, and I think the doctor, I forget who says what, but I know the doctor says like, this had to be Michael. It's like, and the sheriff's like, "No man could have done this," and he says he's not a man.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, Michael ate that dog.
Maybe
he ate it.
Maybe
it's just like
he killed it and then he ate it.
Hey, you know what? I out of all the things, at least he was like practical and didn't just leave it to rot and waste. Because at least he got like a little of nutrition out of it.
Good point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the thing is, oh, sorry. Continue.
No, go ahead.
But I wanted to point out the dog thing because people on the internet has a very particular thing about like if dogs die in movies, they don't want to watch it or something.
Yeah.
Like there's like entire Twitter things and like posts dedicated to does the dog die in a specific movie. So we're telling you yes twice.
Yeah. Although They don't show this dog in the house. It's off screen the entire time because apparently it's just such a gruesome scene. The other one, you hear it whine as it's killed, and then you just see it like it's being held by Myers. But I think the footage is like slowed down or something, so like it looks like the dog's limp, but really they probably just like had the dog leap into the actor's arms. Is all.
Yeah.
But yeah, we'll get to that later. Oh, my headphones are uncomfortable. Let's see Yeah, they go upstairs and they go into Judith's room, and he's explaining like, this is where it happened. He for some reason says he could have seen Judith in her room from outside, and I don't understand what he means by that. Like, unless he was out trick-or-treating and then walked in home and saw them, but like they were downstairs at the time. But I mean, he might not have known that.
Yeah.
Because he's like, they didn't, no witnesses were there. And right as he's saying this, something like hits the window and shatters it. It's just like a piece of the roof just like breaks off and just slams into the window. Makes him jump, and he pulls a gun out, and he's like, "Oh, you must think I'm a really strange doctor." And he's like, "Oh, I have a permit." And he's just like, the sheriff's just like, "Yeah, I trust you." He goes on to explain he met Michael at age 6, and he said he had the most emotionless face and the blackest eyes, the devil's eyes, as he says. And he saw over time that whatever was living behind Michael's eyes was pure evil. And it's like, okay, if you had this, like, why wasn't this guy just fucking executed? They're like, oh, they gotta make a horror movie about him. Yeah.
See you in the decade, kid, when you start murdering people. Gives him the knife. He's like, here you go.
Yeah.
Start killing. You look like a seedy motherfucker. How about this? I'm gonna just let you go. You're not gonna be locked up. You're just gonna. Well, he is locked up, but it's like I'm just gonna dedicate my whole life to watching you, and then he goes on and murders. The thing is Michael Myers just wanted to be free. He's just. I'm just saying shit now to fill in time.
Also, by the way, I think you muted yourself in game. So I'm hearing you on Discord. The audio for the episode's fine, but your mouth hasn't been moving. Whenever I look,
it hasn't happened now. No, damn. Oh no.
Oh well.
Oh well. No, but it's like interesting to think that it's like Dr. Loomis was like, he saw this kid. He's like, this is an evil kid. I hope he spends the rest of his life locked away.
Yeah. So, okay.
Tommy, let's hear
your fan possessed your mic for a moment there.
Good.
So let's see next. He says he's going to stay the night because he's pretty sure Michael will be back at the house. We cut over to Annie. She calls Lori, and her dog starts barking, and Michael's like watching outside as they carry the conversation on. Now, I didn't know at this point that there is literally Lori's at one house babysitting, and then directly across the street is Annie. I thought they were both at their separate homes, like streets apart. So when it transitions, I see him appear across the street from Lori's house, and I'm just like, I thought it was her little brother, but it's actually, I think Tommy, who she's babysitting or something like that. And then he appears back at Annie's house as they're talking, and I'm like, how fast is this guy? He's just zipping around the neighborhood. But the house he saw him at was the house that Annie is currently at. They're just directly across. Annie's babysitting some girl, and Lori's babysitting some kid, some boy. Annie spills something on herself, and she just like strips down and puts on she just finds like a big shirt to put on and has to go run her clothes to the laundry. This is where the dog goes outside and whines and stops barking because it like jumped at Michael and he just snapped the neck. At least it's as much as you can tell from the bit.
It's implied.
Yeah. Back at Annie's, her and her brother are watching The Thing, which foreshadows a future episode of the podcast. Also, as we were talking right as we got started, it's also a movie by John Carpenter, so you just like putting that in there. Let's see. Michael then locks Annie in the laundry room, and the girl had to come out and rescue her. She gets a call from Paul, who he's horny, and he's like, I can't come over, my clothes are in the wash. And he's like, you won't need them anyway, sweetie. And she just eventually like goes after him, but like now it's like, yeah, they're gonna be marked for death at this point. She drops the girl over at Lori's so she can go to her boyfriend. Gets to her car door's locked, so she's like, shit, I need my keys. Goes back in the house, gets her keys, and I love this. She comes back, grabs the car handle, opens it. It was locked before, so it's a little quick hint that something ain't right. Because she didn't unlock it when she came back, but now it's unlocked. So she gets in. She doesn't notice that at all, but she notices like all the windows in the car are fogged up. And then Michael just pops up from the back seat and chokes her and then just slices her neck.
Nice.
And
do you think Michael just went to each window and like breathed on it?
Yeah, that's the other thing. It's like it doesn't quite make sense because it's like he would have only been in the car very briefly, like 2 minutes at the most. And I know he's like a heavy breather, as it like always says. That's the only thing he says is heavy breathing, according to the subtitles. Like, you're not telling me that this dude is breathing that heavy, that he's fogging up an entire car in like the span of 2 minutes. Like, if it was winter, sure, like that's entirely possible. But yeah, otherwise.
But it ain't.
So he kills her, takes her, and he like walks her, like he carries her body over somewhere. I believe actually just goes back in the house and just takes her upstairs, and we'll get back to that. All right, I gotta scroll up again. Come on. But yeah, I truly really love that little quick like context hint that the door was suddenly unlocked. It's so simple, but it just like I was like, oh, that's it's so creepy without really showing you anything. It's like a second, and you know instantly like, oh, something's not right. All right. Sheriff meets back up with the doctor. It's an hour later at that point. Michael still hasn't shown up, but he convinces the sheriff, like, you know, just stay alert, please. Like, something is going to happen. Two teenagers, Linda and Bob, they show up to the house Annie was at, and they're like already shit-faced drunk. And they go in, they realize like, oh, the girl, what was it? I don't think I wrote it. I think it was much later I wrote it. But the girl that she was babysitting, they find out it's over at Annie's because they call her, and Lori's just like, oh, she probably just went out to get something, and I'm babysitting the kids. So they're like, oh, sweet, we got the house to ourselves. So they run upstairs and they go at it, and yeah, Michael comes in the house. They finished their screwing around, and he goes to like get some beer, and Michael kills the first guy. He puts a bed sheet over him, and then he puts he puts Bob's glasses on and just stands outside the bedroom as she's like, hey, like, come on, let's go. And she like pulls the bed sheet down and like, hey, see anything you like? And he just stands there, just heavy breathing. And then she goes to call Lori, and she picks up just in time to hear Lori getting killed. She picks up just in time to hear Linda getting killed. Why is there too many people with L's in their names? She thinks she's fooling around, but after she sees the lights flickering on and off, she runs over. And a quick cut back to the doctor, we see that he notes that the car from the beginning of the movie that Michael's been using is sitting across the street from the Myers house, or wherever the hell he was. I think he started walking around, maybe. So he's like, okay, he's got to be close by. Lori enters the house. She's still assuming that they're just screwing around. She goes upstairs. She finds Annie. She's on a bed, and I forgot to mention earlier on at a what was it? Graveyard. Michael had gone there at some point, and he took the stone for Judith Myers, his first victim, and he took it away. And when she finds Annie laying on a bed, the tombstone is sitting behind her. So it's almost I don't know the significance of that. Like maybe she reminded him of his sister or something. I assume because it's the second person he killed after he saw them in their underwear. Maybe he just doesn't like underwear. Maybe that's all it is.
That makes sense.
If you're in underwear or less, then you're gonna die. Which, although it doesn't make sense because Lori is completely clothed through this whole movie, and she's no sex at all. So it's strange. He's a kind of a, what is it? It doesn't fit the motive, I guess.
Yeah, doesn't fit the MO.
But yeah,
he's breaking tradition a little bit with this, with the trying to kill Lori. Well, essentially.
But yeah, she also finds Bob and Linda, and then she like braces herself against like a door frame, and just like she's like trying to calm herself down a bit. Michael just appears from the dark room, and he tries to stab her, but just barely scrapes her shoulder. So he does cut her, but like it's just about a scratch.
But a flesh wound.
Yeah, just a flesh. She runs from the house. She knocks on the next door for help, but they just think she's some kid screwing around on Halloween. Which is just like, I'm sorry, if you hear someone screaming bloody murder for help, I don't care if it's Halloween, you better open the fucking door and help them. I'd always want to make sure. And if it was someone just making a joke, I'd fucking slap them. Like, don't do that. That's not acceptable. If you're in a corn maze or something and you're like one of the scarers, well then yeah, it's the point. Everyone knows it's just, they got people all around. They're gonna make sure that nothing actually is going on. But yeah. So she quickly runs back to the house she was babysitting at, and she's like banging on the door, screaming for Tommy to come back, and he's just like slowly shuffling downstairs, only slightly faster than Michael is walking, because he always walks at like a super slow speed. It's ridiculous. And soon, like, she gets in, she shuts the door and is like, get upstairs right now, lock the door. And he's freaking out because he thinks it's like it's the boogeyman or something. And she's like, she kind of like says that, like, yes, it is. Just get out of here. I'll protect you. She goes to pick up the phone. Phone's dead. And she sees like a window is open and like the curtain is like flowing a bit. So she's like, oh shit, he's already in here. He attacks. She gets a sewing needle and just like gets him right in the neck. She assumes, like, oh, it's all good. I killed the boogeyman, but he comes up the stairs and it's like, it's gonna take more than a fucking sewing needle to stop me.
Mm-hmm.
She locks the kids up. She hides in the cheapest closet I've ever seen, but somehow it takes Michael like half a minute to break it down. Because he just kind of shakes it at first, and then he's like, hey, wait, I can just punch this. This is like Walmart quality. She grabs a coat hanger and like folds it up and like to get up like a point or breaks it or whatever, and like she jabs that into his face. He drops his knife. They take that. She stabs that with him. Gets the kids out and tells them to like, go to the cops. Oh, I forgot. Right before this, she chooses not to continue stabbing him because she wanted to make sure that the franchise could be continued.
Mm-hmm.
So after she sends the kids off for help, she's just sitting there. Michael just sits back up, like he's laying down, and he just like and goes over to her. Tries to choke her out, but the doctor happened to show up, saw the kids running out, and ran up the stairs and just fired a bunch of bullets into him. He fell from the second floor balcony, and Laurie's like, it was the boogeyman, and the doctor confirms, as a matter of fact, it was. He looks back out the window, and Michael's gone. I think it's because he knew the movie was about to be over, so he's gone into hiding until the sequel.
Mm-hmm. Went back to his trailer.
Yeah. Funny enough, that was originally what I was going to write. He went back to his trailer. He's like, all right, it's a wrap. I'm not needed for the rest of this.
See you guys for the sequel.
Yeah. But
so,
yeah, good.
Michael Myers can't run. Sorry, what?
I was just saying, it was good. I'm excited to see some more of these, especially these really shitty ones.
Oh, yeah. Do you think Michael Myers has asthma? He doesn't run. He breathes heavy.
That's a good point. Maybe that is why he doesn't run, because he knows it's like, if I run, I'll just collapse. Mm-hmm. Imagine that's a bit where he does run in one movie and he just stops and just lifts the mask up and just all right, I'm good.
So yeah, it was a good movie. As made jokes as we were cracking, it is a piece of like cinematic history and is a really good movie.
Yeah.
We're shitters, so we just make jokes about it. But it's like,
yeah,
John Carpenter was really good at horror of that era.
Yeah, like it's good. It's just there are some like campy, cheesy elements to it, but like it's good. At least it's not modern. Like when I watched the might have said it before, but the Friday the 13th remake, we saw it because me and my sister had we got into Supernatural years ago, and then we saw that there's My Bloody Valentine, Jensen Ackles was in that, and then Friday the 13th remake had Jared Padalecki in it. So we watched both of those, and we watched that. It's just like, it's less horror, and it's just like so many scenes of people just naked and screwing around, and it's not like more modestly, like there is some in Halloween, but it's like, it's not like in your face about it. It's just like you might see a boob in the background or something, whereas the remake of Friday the 13th was practically just porn. It was just kind of uncomfortable after a while. But yeah. And yeah, I think some other movies do the same thing. It's just kind of like, if you're gonna do that, at least do it and not be like, oh, here's my boobies. Like, just do it in a way that makes sense. Have these characters, they're doing it, and like, oh, they're gonna die now. Because it's funny at this point. Yeah.
It is.
But yeah, we'll get into more of these movies, like probably in season 4 at some point. And tune in for next week's episode, which we will be talking about Rubber. It's a movie about a tire that kills people.
Ooh.
I'm excited to watch that.
Yeah, I've heard many things about it, so it's going to be definitely an experience.
Yeah. All right, and with that, see you next time.
Peace.
All right, that's long enough. All right, it's a bit late, so I'm gonna hop off for the night. Maybe we can record something tomorrow. We'll see.
Yeah.
Right.
We'll see about that. I'll just sit here by the fire. It's kind of cold out.
Yeah, fair enough. All right.
I'll record some bonus material for the episode while you're go. Oh, well, let me tell you guys something really interesting. It's like Velveeta. It's pure and other dog shit. It's like if you had like snail goo and just poured it over some noodles, but it's like not the good kind of snail goo that like you get from a good snail, but from the like a sickly snail. And that's just not right. You shouldn't be putting that on your food. Horrible. Just horrible. Kraft is the way to go, honestly. If you're asking me, it may be powder, but it's like at least it tastes like not wrong. Not like you're just getting a puddle of mud in your noodles.